Yo, what's going on, ladies and gents? My name is Arbuckle. Welcome back to another video. Today we are once again back on Call of Duty Warzone, and I wanted to share with you guys the top 5 best guns to use to do well. These are not in any particular order. However, I did try to label them from worst to best. However, all 5 guns in this video, or 6, because I'm going to share with you guys an extra one, I think can all really take the top spot. It's all just personal preference. So I'm going to ask if you want to leave a comment at some point during the video with all of the guns that I'm sharing with you, and put them in the order that you think from worst to best. So we're going to start off with an honorable mention because there's so many good guns here in Warzone that I couldn't really just do 5. And number 6 is going to go to the Kar 98K. I think this can easily make the top 5 and is one of my favorite guns to use here in Warzone. Just obviously with there being so many good guns, it was hard to put it any higher. This is one of the best sniper rifles in the game. Even though it is a marksman rifle, with the right attachments, you can turn this into a super deadly sniper. If you guys take a look, the attachments that I recommend running are the monolithic suppressor, the SynGuard custom 27.6 barrel, the variable zoom scope for the optic, the ST Vol precision comb stock, and the perk Presence of Mind. This makes this thing absolutely deadly and a lot of fun to use here in Warzone. I've noticed that more and more people have started using the Kar 98 as a secondary rather than an actual sniper like the HDR, the AX50. But this is what I think is one of the best class setups for the Kar 98K here in Warzone. But again, honorable mention for this. I believe this would take the 6th spot out of the top 5. Number 5 coming in is the M13. So this tends to be one of the most popular weapons in Warzone, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's the best. In my personal opinion, I've used it a ton, and although I think it is extremely accurate and almost always a laser, the damage on this thing is not phenomenal. For those of you that play a lot of Call of Duty multiplayer, you've probably noticed this a little bit more often because people do die quicker, and you'll see a huge difference between the M13 and pretty much any other assault rifle here in the game. So that is why I put it in the 5th spot, because I don't necessarily think that it deserves to be really high just because of how low the damage is. However, like I was saying, this thing is extremely accurate. So the attachments that I would recommend running on the M13 are the monolithic suppressor muzzle, the Tempest marksman barrel, the Cronin LP945 mini reflex, this 60 round magazine, and the Commando foregrip underbarrel. Again, don't get me wrong, guys. I know I'm kind of hating on the M13 a little bit, but I do think it is one of the best guns in the game. That's why I did put it in the top 5. And this one is one that you can find on the ground. So a lot of people have had experience using this, but the M13 is on my number 5. My number 4, I put the HDR. Now, this could easily be number 1 if all you use is snipers. The HDR is one of the most phenomenal weapons here in Warzone. I think it is the best secondary that you can use if you're running overkill. Having this thing on really helps you in so many different situations. A lot of times I'll run an HDR with a thermal scope just so I can spot people from across the map, kind of call out to where teams are to my teammates so that we can kind of move in on who we want to go after. But the HDR has always just been so clutch. It's a very deadly sniper. You'll get a lot of one-shot kills with this thing as long as you're hitting them in the upper chest and the head area. But the attachments that I would recommend running for this HDR are the monolithic suppressor muzzle, the 26.9 HDR Pro barrel, the variable zoom scope optic, the FTAC champion stock, and the Presence of Mind perk. You guys will see that we get insane accuracy and range with this class setup. So the HDR, really fun gun to use. You guys should be able to just run house with this thing and really not have too many issues whatsoever. So again, that HDR sniper. Coming in at the number 3 spot is the Grau 556. Now, this can be a struggle because I know a lot of people don't have access to this gun. If you did not have the Battle Pass or were not playing Call of Duty last season, you may not have unlocked this. So I do apologize if you don't have access to the Grau, but if you do, you know how amazing this weapon is. This can be an absolute laser as well. You tend to see a lot of pros and popular streamers running around with this because it is so deadly and very, very good from not only long range, but close range as well. The attachments that I would recommend running for the Grau 556 are the monolithic suppressor muzzle, the Tempest 26.4 Archangel barrel, the Commando foregrip underbarrel, the 60 round magazine, and the rear grip XRK Void 2. Now I want to share with you, if you don't like the iron sights on this thing, you can take off that rear grip and throw a mini reflex optic on there. But I think that the iron sights on this thing are pretty good, and you guys will notice that from those close distance gunfights, not having the optic on there is clutch. So this is what I think the best class setup is for the Grau 556 here in Warzone. So try this out if you haven't already. But again, one of my favorite guns, not only just in Warzone, but in multiplayer. So much fun to use. And I know a lot of you that watch my videos really enjoy using this gun as well. So that is what's going to take the third spot. The number 2 weapon that I think is right up there at the top 3 is the MP7. So we put the MP7 at number 2 because of how much of an AR this plays like. This is a very small SMG that for some reason is insanely accurate. It's an absolute laser. Most of the time, it doesn't even matter what attachments you put on this thing, it's still going to be amazing. I've noticed a lot more people starting to use it. It started off as not a weapon that you saw a lot of people using in Warzone, but because it was one of the weapons that you could pick up off the ground and players started finding it more often, players started adding attachments and really finding a really good way to use this thing. So I would recommend playing aggressive with this. However, this thing is still very, very deadly from distance, and honestly, it's just a lot of fun to use. This isn't one of those weapons. A lot of times with these AR class setups, they're not very good from really, really close quarters situations where someone runs around a corner, you run through a doorway. They're really meant for long range, since Warzone is just such a massive map, and you don't really play extremely aggressive unless you want to die early on in the game. But the MP7, man, so much fun to use. The attachments that I would recommend running for this thing are the monolithic suppressor muzzle, the FSS Recon barrel, the 5MW laser to improve hip fire accuracy, the Commando foregrip underbarrel, and once again, the 60 round mag. If you guys haven't taken the hint by now, if you don't run 60 round mags, you're doing it wrong. So make sure that you're running the highest round mag possible for each of the weapons that you use. But again, this is a phenomenal MP7 class setup. You don't need an optic, as you guys can see with this class setup. I don't recommend having the optic on there, but if you absolutely need one, you can run one and take off either the laser or that muzzle and just play extremely aggressive. But I would recommend just running without the optics. So much fun to use. Like I said, this thing is absolutely insane, and I think you're going to start seeing a lot more people using this. But last but not least, the weapon that takes the number 1 spot, I'm sure a lot of you can guess it, is the M4A1. The reason I put this at the number 1 spot is because how consistent it has been since the game released. And I'm not talking about just Warzone, I'm talking about Modern Warfare in general. Generally, we see guns come out in the game, they're overpowered when the game drops, they get nerfed, and then they become one of the lesser used guns. With the M4 has been nerfed over time and is still the most popular assault rifle to use. It is so good, so accurate, great from close range, close from long range, and takes people out super, super fast, even in Warzone. I'm sure a lot of you already use this, and I've made class setup videos for Warzone for the M4 on my channel several times. The class setup that I would recommend running for this M4 is the monolithic suppressor muzzle, the stock M16 Grenadier barrel, the optic GI mini reflex, the Commando foregrip underbarrel, and the 60 round mag. You guys will see that with these stats, this gun is unstoppable. It's a laser and it takes people out way too fast. I am expecting this to eventually get nerfed again in the future, but for now, everyone's using it. Might as well take advantage and have fun with it. If you're not the best player at Warzone, if you're a new player, or maybe you're just not at the skill level that you want to be, the M4 is a really, really good weapon to start with, because you really don't need a whole lot of skill to do well with this thing. Some of the other guns in this game are good, but they do have significant recoil, and you do have to have a little bit of skill to be able to do well with them. So if you're starting out, if you're brand new, or you're just struggling to do as good as you want, definitely check out the M4 and try out this class setup. But these are what I consider to be the top 5 or top 6 weapons in the game. Like I said, please let me know down in the comments, out of the weapons that I listed in this video, what order do you think they should be in from worst to best, even though there's really no worst. They're all absolutely amazing. So much fun to use. I did not include the Ram 7. I know a lot of people have been using the Ram recently, and I do think that's a really good gun. However, I didn't include it in this video because I know a whole bunch of people that play Warzone never were able to actually get that weapon, because that was earlier on in earlier seasons here. So if you don't have that, that's pretty unfortunate. It's a really fun gun to use. I know some people, I feel like that's one of those weapons you either really, really like it or really, really hate it. But these are the top 6. Again, leave a comment. Let me know what you think, what order they should be in. But That's going to be it for the video. I really hope you guys did enjoy. If you have any questions about any of these class setups or anything else that has to do with Warzone and best weapons, please make sure to leave a comment about that, and I'll be sure and try to help some of you guys out. But I really hope you guys did enjoy this video. Please make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and I'll see all you guys in the next video.